Solving Go problems is a great way to study Go, but it can be a bit hard to get started as a beginner because sometimes it's not clear what you're supposed to do. It's hard to figure out when you're completely new, what am I even supposed to try to do here? So in this video I want to look at some easy problems, but I'm also going to give some hints on what's the goal in the position. And then you can pause and try to solve it yourself. I have not pre-picked the problems, I've just went to this website, black2play.com. I set my level to beginner, so I'll get some random easy problems that we can look at. So let's look at the first problem. Here we have a pretty safe group on the outside. This black group here has lots of space to run to, so we don't have to worry about it getting captured in the short term. But this group in the corner only has one eye and it is surrounded, so this is close to dying. So the goal of this problem is to find a way to save the black group in the corner. And it's not possible to make two eyes in the corner. We can't play here or here. There's no way to get extra eyes. So we have to capture something to connect out. And we could capture either these 4 white stones or this single white stone. And the single white stone is not going to help us. If we play Atari here, white can simply play one step to the right. Actually, let me turn on coordinates. There we go. If we play A5, white can play B5. And even though we capture a single stone, that doesn't really help us to make eyes. So that would be a failure. Instead, we should play B5, and then we're guaranteed to capture something bigger. And now we're all safe, all connected, and all the black groups are happy. If we had played A5 instead, capturing this one stone doesn't really help. This is still going to be dead. So we recognize immediately that this is dead. White doesn't have to take it off the board. Instead, at the end of the game, if black asked white to prove that it is dead, white could add a move here and capture like this. Let's go to the next problem. Here we have a surrounded white group, and we should find a way to capture this white group. So see if we can find a way to prevent this white group from making two eyes. The eye down here is already completely secure, so it's this potential eye here that we need to do something about. And the way to do it is just to capture this one white stone. Now there will be no eye up here. It's a really simple problem. I don't think there's much more to say about it. If black tries anything else, white will connect here, and now white has to realize and will be alive. Again, we have a surrounded white group, and we should find a way to prevent it from making two eyes so that we can kill it. So we should not be distracted here by this single white stone. We wouldn't be happy just capturing this one. We should focus on the main group and look at its eyes. So A1 is already a secure eye, but B2 can be turned into a false eye if we play C1. And a false eye, that means that eventually black is going to be able to put this group here into Atari, forcing white to connect here. So if we imagine in the future, black gets to play like all these moves. Eventually this is going to be Atari on the 3 stones. Either black gets to capture, or if white connects, then black gets to capture everything. So no matter what white does, after this point, after black gets C1, all the white stones are dead. So that's why when I play this, the computer already says problem completed, success, because the stones are already dead and both players will play elsewhere. But if you're confused about this ever in a problem, you should take the time to play out some more moves and see how black could forcibly take them off the board. Let's do the next one. Here, most of the stones are safe. This white group here is safe, this black group here is safe, all these stones. But there are some weakish stones here on the edge. So can you find a way for black to capture those 3 white stones? The white stones here have 2 liberties, D1 and E1. And if we don't have any idea where to start, we should just look at them one by one. So if we look at D1, then white can respond to Atari at E1, and then white is safely connected. So that's no good. But if we play E1, which is a bit counterintuitive because it allows white to capture us, then after white captures, we will be able to capture back. This is a so-called snapback. So we play E1, white captures, but now white only has 1 liberty and we can capture. One way to think about a snapback is that we force white to play a very stupid move, like this one, taking white's own liberty, allowing us to capture. So by playing here, either white just gives up the stones, like white can just leave them, and again, they're just dead at the end of the game. Black doesn't have to take them off the board. But if white does play here, then black can just recapture in this way. Alright, now we have a bunch of different groups here. Again, we need to identify which ones are safe, which ones are in danger. The white groups in the corner are safe. This whole thing is safe. This black group here is safe. But these two black stones are in danger, and these two white stones are in danger. So we need to do something about this area. The way for black to save the two black stones is to cut here, which will capture the two white stones. There's no way for white to escape with these, and if white tries to take a liberty from our stones, we are one step ahead. We will capture white before white captures us. So that's the correct move in this case. We also see that there's no way for white to come out here. If white plays here or here, we just capture. White's just dead. Okay, here the black corner group is safe, and these stones here are out and safe, so we need to find some way to capture something here. Find a move for black to capture some white stones. And the move in this case is this Atari. After we play this Atari, either white is going to connect at d4. In that case, we will be able to capture on e5. Or white may connect at e5, allowing us to capture at d4. Let's see which one white picks. So white played the d4 connection, and then we can capture here. It's worth noting that in a real game, this would be a bad move, d4, but the computer plays it because it needs to know, it's just checking that we know how to respond to it. So in a real game, white might just play away, or maybe play e5 at some point, letting this happen. But in a problem setting, it's useful to know that, it wants to try all kinds of different moves. So don't read too much into what move the computer picks. It's just trying some move, checking that you know how to respond to it. Here we have some separated black groups. We need to find a way to capture something to connect together all the black groups. So there are several white groups here that we could call cutting stones. We have these stones here are cutting this and this apart. These white stones are cutting all the three groups apart, and these stones here are cutting this stone from these stones. So the most important cutting stones, the ones we would most like to capture, are the ones that are cutting all the three groups apart. And these are also the ones that are closest to being captured. These white stones here only have 2 liberties, while these other stones here have considerably more liberties. So these are the ones we will be focusing on. And there are 2 Ataris to consider. We could Atari a4, but that would allow white to connect at b5, then white would be safe. So instead we should run white towards the edge and capture like this. So in this case, white just played Atari, allowing us to capture. White could also have tried to run out. We also needed to have a prepared response to this. In this case, we could just continue Atari. Either a3 or a5 would be fine in this case. And there's nowhere for these white stones to go. So 2 Ataris to consider, we need to look at both of them and see which one is working to capture these stones. And often running the opponent towards the edge is a better way to reduce the liberties. Okay, we have a bunch of disconnected black stones. Again, we need to capture something to save our stones. So can you find a way to capture a white group? Often it's useful to consider, if I was white in this position, what would I play then? What would be the best move for white? And a very clear move for white in this case would be to connect at e4. F4. The coordinates are a bit covered up. F4. If white connects at f4, white is just solidly connected out, there's nothing to do. So we want to prevent white from making that move. If we play anything else than f4, like if we play here, then white gets f4 and we're unhappy. So we are going to play here. And then, but before, let's not just play it because we know it's the correct move. Let's think about what's going to happen. So after we play here, white cannot play g4. That would be self-Atari. Instead, white may play e4. And then this is Atari on the f4 stone. But if we connect it, then white can run out. So actually what we will do is, we will play here, white will play here, then we will play this Atari, allowing white to capture one stone, and then we can recapture. See if you can see that in your head. It's a little bit complicated. We play here, white plays Atari. we play Atari from this direction. This big chain is an Atari, it captures on g4, but it still only has one liberty, and we can capture it by playing f4. So Atari, white captures, and we capture. Okay, here we have two groups in a capturing race. We need to find a way to win this capturing race. So we need to capture white before white captures us. Here we need to decide between, should I try to increase my own liberties or take liberties from white? What's the quickest way to capture white? There are maybe two moves to consider here. We could play the c1 Atari, which would create some ice space in the corner, but actually this is reducing our own liberties. Notice that right now black has 3 liberties, a1, b1, c1. So after we play c1 and white responds on f1, we only have 2 liberties, so that didn't really help us at all. Having that either doesn't help. We don't have 2 eyes, so we're not alive, we just have 1 useless eye. So that's no good. Instead, we should reduce white's liberties. White has 2 liberties, b4 and a5. We can't take any of them immediately. b4 is just suicidal, a5 is self-Atari, so we need to prepare to take a5 on the next move by playing a7. And after we play a7, white then has 2 liberties, we have 3 liberties, so even though it's white to move, we are 1 step ahead. So we play here, white takes a liberty, we play Atari, white plays Atari, but we're 1 step ahead, we get to capture first. And we can see if we had played Atari here, white can just respond, and since we took a liberty from ourselves, now if we connect, white will play here, and now white is 1 step ahead. So that would be no good. Okay, I hope you're now feeling inspired to go and solve some problems yourself. If you encounter any problems where the solution is unclear, maybe you're confused about the final position, why is this considered solved, you can share it in the comments and I will try to cover it in a future video. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.